Golf courses have taken Mother Nature's best shot this winter.
Which means it could be a while before local golfers take any shots on the course. We're glad to have you join us on this Wednesday night.
Much more on the winter's lasting impact on warm weather recreation later in the newscast. First,
10 new charges are filed against a convicted felon with a long history of trouble in downtown Great Falls. Doug Keller is reportedly responsible for stealing multiple wallets and purses out of downtown churches. We first told you about the spree 2 weeks ago. Keller was arrested this week after getting caught breaking into 2 cars.
Keller just got out of prison a month ago. He stole $31,000 in diamonds from a Central Avenue jewelry business back in 2003. While that case was still pending, Keller was caught stealing a woman's purse inside another Central Avenue business.
In other crime-related news, the men facing a combined 25 charges in connection with a poaching operation claim they're not guilty. Steve Brouillet from the Dearborn area is charged with 14 crimes relating to unlawful taking of animals over the past 3 years. John Lindau of Craig faces 11 charges. It's believed more than 100 deer and elk may have been taken illegally. The men will go on trial this June.
And the incest trial of Richard Pert faces delays as the court waits on witnesses to arrive in Great Falls. Day 3 in the trial was forced to wrap up after just a half day. This morning, the defense showed a police interrogation video where Pert confessed to drinking heavily and taking nude pictures of the young relative he allegedly abused for years. Expert witnesses for both sides are expected to arrive tomorrow. The trial will wrap up shortly after that. One of the warmest days of 2011 is set to sink in tomorrow. Fred has the 3-day forecast from the Weather Center.
And the good part is, overnight we expect the melting to continue as well. 52 and windy with 32 for a low, mostly cloudy. 43 on Friday with 31, and then Saturday more sunshine with a high of 42 and a low of 25. I'll have your 7-day forecast in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Fred. Black Eagle residents are speaking out following this week's announcement that their community is on the national priorities list for Superfund designation.
The news station's Ashley Korslien has more.
I spent the day in Black Eagle chatting with residents and business owners. They express a sense of relief that the process is finally moving forward. And while completion of the project is a long ways off, the community is anticipating a clean slate. High levels of lead, arsenic, and cadmium will soon be a distant memory for Black Eagle residents. The contaminants were left behind from the Anaconda smelter, which closed in 1980. Now on the list for Superfund status, Black Eagle will get federal dollars to clean up the problem.
They will be doing additional investigative studies out there. They'll be probably doing a lot more soil sampling, taking a look around in different areas in the community, because they just did some initial sampling. EPA will also then be determining how do they want to do the cleanup. Where is their most concentrations? What kinds of metals, what kinds of contaminants are out there that they need to focus on?
Some say the Superfund status could taint the area's image, painting it as a danger zone. But many local business owners and residents believe the cleanup could bring a boost to the economy.
I think once it gets cleaned up, it'll make the area more attractive. If anybody had any doubts, it'll rectify that. And of course, we're seeing, with the higher housing market and that, people are looking at moving up here more so than they did maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Testing has been underway for years, and it's been a long haul for those living and working in the area.
I'm hoping that they found what they're looking for in the highest levels of contamination, and we can get the project going and get it done.
It's undetermined how long the entire process will last, but it looks as though it could take several years.
I hope the folks in Black Eagle are satisfied and happy that eventually there will be real science that's done up there for them in a very detailed way, and that they'll be kept informed and involved throughout the whole process, because it's important. It's their backyards.
Weber tells me there will be grants available for groups interested in helping facilitate the cleanup. The EPA will also hold meetings and discussions which will be open to the public throughout the cleanup process. For Montana's news station, I'm Ashley Korslien.
Well, in Helena, a proposal to revise the Montana Environmental Policy Act is pitting developers against environmental groups.
The news station's Marnie Banks takes us inside today's House hearing.
What we're concerned about in the legislature of Montana and the Montana Environmental Policy Act is what it does for Montana, not North Dakota, not Wyoming, not the United States, not the world. What impacts will happen in Montana?
Senator Jim Keene's bill says the state cannot review the impacts of a project beyond Montana's borders. Critics argue this is a short-sighted view.
Senate Bill 233 relieves the largest project developers of responsibilities for the broad impacts of their actions.
Keene's bill also states a permit issued under MEPA cannot be revoked during pending litigation.
Because you can't go to New York and raise $1 billion if your permits are in jeopardy. So what happens is the mere filing of a lawsuit basically grinds the project to a halt until the litigation is done. And that's what this bill is designed to do, is to make sure and give comfort to those folks that those permits are going to stay valid.
Opponents say MEPA is rarely used to stop project development, but instead inform the public about potential risks to their health and environment.
As I see it primarily as an assault on property rights, in that it limits the ability of a landowner, of a citizen, to participate in a process to review a proposed project that may affect the citizen's home, land, community.
The Department of Environmental Quality doesn't support or oppose the bill, saying the arguments on both sides are flawed.
Nevertheless, there are some that blame MEPA for a bad economy. I'd say you're giving a non-substantive bill way too much credit here. But I also don't believe that Senate Bill 233 tramples private property rights or eliminates the ability of citizens to learn about the impacts of the project.
At the Capitol, Marnay Banks for Montana's News Station.
And Keene's bill is just one of two major MEPA reform bills legislators are looking at this session.
Governor Schweitzer says Smurfit Stone cannot sell its Frenchtown mill until a new investor provides details of possible environmental contamination on the site. The story begins our Montana Minute. Today's press conference comes just 1 week after DEQ asked Smurfit Stone to share their records in accordance with Montana's Asbestos Control Act. Without a response from Smurfit, today's request was a bit more direct. BNSF officials are searching for answers in the derailment of 19 train cars early this afternoon. The incident was initially blamed on an avalanche, but BNSF now says the slide was not the cause. The investigation is ongoing. No one was injured and no hazardous chemicals were spilled. Trains were expected to be delayed for 24 hours. A 10-year-old Helena elementary student is suspended after bringing a loaded gun to the school playground. Police say the boy was apparently showing some of his friends the semi-automatic weapon he had in his backpack. The superintendent describes the incident as a clear violation of school policy and federal and state law. The boy will remain suspended indefinitely. Nelly arrives in the Queen City to a sold-out crowd. Tonight's show drew music lovers from across the state in hopes of catching live renditions of Hot in Here, Country Grammar, and Just a Dream. The Park and Recreation Department reports a steady sale of city golf passes, but it could be a while before the passes are used for par-saving putts.
The weather has made it impossible to get the courses ready by the normal opening date of March 15th, so the course superintendent is now shooting for a different target. It's hard to maintain the greens and fairways when they're covered with snow, but there's still plenty to keep Superintendent Keith Hollenbach busy.
Finishing up the equipment, making sure that part's ready to go, so once we can get outside, we don't have to worry about that.
Even when the snow melts, Mother Nature has other hazards that will keep the course from opening.
Lots of water to pump, ponds to get rid of, things like that.
Frost in the ground is a big issue because we have to get water turned on to the pro shop so we can have restrooms and concessions and those kinds of things. Plus our crews, once we actually get rid of all the snow, need a couple days to get the courses ready.
We'll be top dressed, so we'll have to blow off the greens and drag it in and try to get them as playable as possible, and hopefully the ground will thaw off enough in the next week or two that we can even get a cut cup in the green.
One of the unknowns is how much revenue will be lost from a late start. At this point, the penalty does not appear to be too severe.
March is usually not one of our big revenue months just because of the unpredictable weather. So, if we're open a week late, it won't have a significant impact on the courses.
The superintendent figures a week is about the best he could do, and he'd need a lot of help from Mother Nature, beginning today.
No more snow. If it turned 50, a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Leaving area golfers plenty of time to warm up. And Hollenbach says if we get more snow in the next week or so, it could be April 1st before the course is actually ready for play. So what do you say? Any more snow coming our way?
Well, we could get some showers, but I have some good news. It's still melting outdoors this evening, and it will continue to do so overnight, and then tomorrow we have more warm weather. So that'll help. Let's take a look at our forecast check. We said mostly sunny. We certainly missed the boat there. High 48. and a low of 24. We hit 46 and 24, so 2 out of 3. But the little bit of sunshine that we got today, I won't take credit for. We'll take no check mark for that. Continued breezy and warm tomorrow. By Friday, say goodbye to the 50s. The weekend looking pretty good, though. Back with your forecast in just a moment.